Hello, it's Hebby, and welcome back to making every Wings of Fire dragon into a plushie. So far we have made Anemone, Albatross, Arctic, Auklet, Blaze, Blister, Burn, Blue, and Battle Winner. I have no idea why I always forget those two. I shouldn't, since I burnt my fingerprint off for a month making Battle Winner. We've also done Chameleon, Coral, Clearslate, Clay, Cricket, Carnelian, Cliff, Ruby, Dusky Dune, Mergeralization, Vessel, Darkstalker, the 31 Seawing Princes, Dragon, Fatespeaker, Flame, and Freedom. Oh, and to my Whirlpool Hate Club members, Whirlpool has been self-punishing lately since I balanced him on a shelf right next to my work area and he just keeps falling off. But he needs a proper punishment, which has been decided by the council of the Whirlpool Hate Club as being thrown off the roof of my house, which has very tall ceilings if you cannot tell. So thank you to my Whirlpool Hate Club members, the Wait Zaranek Fluffle, 8-Bit Beetle, Phoenix Fire, Skywing Dad, and Ninja Kitty Awakens, for providing generous plushie activity funding and suspending this horrible barnacle in perpetual misery. This has been a very fun challenge so far, and the patterns for these dragon plushies are for free. You can click this linky right here in the description. You can download the patterns and print them on A4 paper for the standard and little size ones, double size across 2 papers or on A3 for the big ones, and you can even try your hand at a 6-foot-long Darkstalker. Mine is suspended from my dragon shelf so he can stare at me whilst I sleep. Okay, that's out of the way. It is time for the continuation of the false Dragonets. Disappointments and pains in the behind, all of them. They're an F name in category at least. I moved some dragons around in the alphabet for the sake of making sense where they went, and since 2 out of the 5 false Dragonets have F names, the rest might as well come along too. It just made sense to put all the worst versions of the Dragonets of Destiny together. Except Fatespeaker, she's alright, but if you watched my video on Flame, then you would have already heard my angry ranting, and that will continue in this video because I completely hate these dweebuses. Now we're starting on the half-rate, fly-bitten and grouchy variety store discount bin version of Clay, if you ask for him for your birthday from Grandma, and she hasn't had her cataracts corrected in a while. It's Ochre. Ochre is described as dark mahogany brown with dull eyes. Fatespeaker referred to him as the fat one. Damn, Fatespeaker, be nice. The word is plumptuous. Anyways, his appearance in the graphic novel I think is like perfect for the disappointing, greedy, uncaring and clumsy version of Clay. The colour palettes of the false Dragonets go together well in my opinion, as a darker, greyer toned collection of 5. Ochre, in reality, is a pigment from clay which has been naturally used as a paint and dye for hundreds of thousands of years, and is actually a really pretty and sometimes very bright range of colours. It's a name that I think is totally wasted on one of this series' worst side characters. And Ochre's hateability is clearly intentional. It's meant to make you go, oh my goodness, I'm so glad Clay is Clay. I'll never forsake you again, fatty cakes. Ochre is, if you cannot recall, pessimistic, unlikable, and greedy. He helps in the attempt to kill Starflight at the Nightwing Volcano Island at the request of Morrowseer, although he is slightly too lazy to actually do well. And when Viper, the sandwing of the false Dragonets of Destiny, gets knocked into the lava, he refuses to attempt to save her and goes to find lunch. So like, an awesomely unpleasant character all around. Although it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, not forever. Like Flame, I really expected Ochre to have some sort of character development. I mean, it also didn't happen for Flame, so maybe I expected too much, but it especially didn't happen for Ochre. And it seems his actually fairly tragic when you think about it backstory does not factor into his personal decision making since he is really hellbent on being a jerk and not thinking ahead. And by tragic backstory, I mean, it's not clear if he has a sibling group. He mentions that he doesn't even know if he was born from a blood egg. He also doesn't seem to know that Mudwings who are born from blood eggs have fireproof scales. So he probably wasn't raised around Mudwings because all Mudwings seem to know about the red egg thing, and it's just another phenomenon that happens occasionally to them. And seemingly, even if he was hatched from a blood egg, nobody cared enough to mention it to him. So it's very likely that he has absolutely no one in this world who loves him or who could help him improve or take care of himself. Which is sad. Or it would be sad if this was another character, or if this was a concept that was explored. Sunny and the other Dragonets think about the family they were robbed of in their books, but they don't seem to really think about the same thing happening to the false Dragonets. Viper mentions having a family, and Squid's father is Nautilus, but Ochre could have come from anywhere. He could have been stolen. It's hard as an author to keep track of a story in which there are so many characters all interacting with one another. It's difficult sometimes to think of background character motivations and how they might feel due to their life experiences, because when you're writing, it can be a headache to think of complex lore for a random side character such as Ochre, who truly, I will mention once again, is trash. There's a lot of one-off side characters for whom it is implied they have a backstory and important life. Think Prey Hunter's Dream from Book 5, who is a character who dies in 30 seconds and is never mentioned again or mourned by anyone in particular. But he seemed to have a backstory, mother issues, night terrors, and more, all in the 1 minute we got to know him. But such a thing was not given to Ochre. And so if you as a reader actually stop to analyze this waste of page space, you are left with the impression that he really could be a very sad dragon on the inside, and could potentially have as much complexity as any of the real Dragonets of Destiny, should he have been given a chance to graduate from unimportant side character to moderately important, slightly relevant side character. But yeah, he doesn't act sad, lonely, or anything other than horrible. Although I think if his life was explored in text, he could have potentially been redeemed, and his actions made more understandable on the basis of acting out because he had no support in his life and was separated from his siblings, potentially forever. Perhaps it could even have been a sweet moment where if Ochre attended Jade Mountain, he could confide in one of the other Mudwings or Clay that he doesn't really feel very much like a Mudwing because he's alone. And he could either make friends, or if Ochre really must be removed from the plot never to be spoken of again, at least have him taken to the Mud Kingdom to locate his sibling group like Clay did. But there's only so much Ochre I can tolerate in a given story, so maybe it's a blessing in disguise that he was unceremoniously booted into complete and utter obscurity. Also, I just want to point out, why does Flame get to go to Jade Mountain Academy, but we basically don't get to see Riptide again? I know he's the leader of the Talons of Peace, but look at the track record of the school. They could really have used a head of security and aquatic languages teacher. There's a lot of students exploding, going missing, and attempting and succeeding at committing murder at Jade Mountain Academy. They should have let Riptide get on the case, with a magnifying glass and a detective hat. Maybe a pipe that he blows bubbles out of. But instead we got Flame. Whatever. Maybe it wouldn't have ended so badly for Flame if Ochre was there too. But he's not. He's disappeared from the plot completely, with absolutely no mention of where he went and what he's doing. Last known location, somewhere at the Talons of Peace hideout, stuffing his face with fruit in Book 5. There's been 10 books since then, and I doubt we're getting an Ochre recovery. But even beyond the disappointment of that, the reason I hate Ochre so much is not because he's a clearance aisle Clay, or the fact that Ochre is a cool name for a very useful dirt clod, which was wasted on a useless dirt clod. Although both of these are true, they pale in comparison to the depth of my actual beef. Which is that Mudwings have this awesome social structure, where they are raised by and live with their sibling groups, and function as a unit, and despite this investment of good ideas into their lore, as a tribe they are criminally underutilized in the plot. Catastrophically criminally underutilized, to the point I jump for joy at the inclusion of Bullfrog, a nearly entirely cardboard cutout background character, who appeared for maybe half a book. I'm so sorry, Bullfrog fans. Please continue projecting more of a personality onto him, because in canon you get nearly nothing, because he's only around for such a short period of time. I'm definitely not the first person to point him out, but still, Ochre is not only a disappointment to me in terms of his character usage, but also a serious letdown for his entire tribe. So, in light of how little he means to me, and also how little he means to every other character in the whole story, I'm giving him a whatever score of 1,000,000, and just letting it be a 4 out of 10 for evil. 2 points less than Flame, who actually did try a little harder at the attempted murder thing, but Ochre is also callous, disrespectful, cruel, and obstinate. Anyway, now he's done. For whatever vaporous and in hindsight pointless reason, I was really hopeful we would get a redemption arc for all of the false Dragonets of Destiny. But with Ochre, there wasn't really an excuse for me thinking that would actually happen, because although Flame is horrible and desperately in need of fixing if he's gonna be a good or fun character, at least he has a personality. And no, eating is not a personality. When Clay does it, the underlying point is that Clay is funny. With Ochre, it's, I don't know, greed, I guess? I suppose that technically is a personality trait. At least when he has a ham in his mouth, he can't talk. That's all I'll say about that. And up on the shelf, right next to Flame, so they can suck together but distinctly because they hate each other in canon and have no loyalty to one another, even though, wow, wouldn't it have been nice? Thank you for watching till the end, and your kiss is delivered to you by Darkstalker today. Mwah! Thank you to my patrons: Kimber, ADH Dream 1409, Kitten Mikey, Samuel Sanchez, Mono Deer, Aninka Lamason, Grey, Solvi, Phoenix Fire, I Like the Dumb Bunny Shrimp, Fennec is here, Trooper Cat, Poppy Willow, Indigo, Woilies, Fantasies, The Starving Child, Ninja Kitty Awakens, Lime Sharks, Caroline T, Copa, I Love My Fuzzy Kitten, Vanessa Ananara Burrows, Verla, Misty Owl, Rhythm the Raptor, Aliana, Teacopper Silver, Miffy, Victoria Toucan, Racing Wolf, Grey Malkin, Gatto Catamoose, The Wait Zaranek Fluffle, 8-Bit Beetle, Anonymous Running Dragon, Danger Noodles Are Cool, Erin Donahue, Carol, Murder Mellow 206, and Silly Rabbit 87. I think that you're from the FNAF video. Hello!